So, welcome all of you to the Arts for Life series. And we are on the second Saturday, which is all about the inner reflections. And we are really so fortunate to have with us Sister Judy Johnson, because along with her sister Deborah Castle, both of them have authored the book on the Arts for Life. And we are so fortunate that they are there to facilitate this session. They'll be alternating, and today we have Sister Judy. Thank you so much for joining. And before I pass it on to you, the participants know quite a bit about you, but I think it's my duty to speak a little bit as a formal introduction about you. Sister Judy has been tirelessly working as a facilitator and a coaching consultant since almost more than 35, 40 years now. In experiential learning, that's what we want, leadership development, and organizational effectiveness. She holds a Bachelor of Social Work and a Master's of Adult Education. She is known for her insight and her ability to go into the depth of any subject in a very light and entertaining way. You'll be a witness to all that throughout the next 1 hour. And she's an author of 5 books, as I told you. One of the books we are using as Living as an Art. The other books are The 7 Secrets of the Universe, Beautiful Thoughts, A to Z of Spiritual Literacy, and Return to Source, The God Experience. And as we speak, she is also the coordinator for the coordination of activities in Halifax, the Atlantic region of Canada. So welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll just request Sister Claudia to do the official welcoming with flowers. Over to you, Sister Claudia. Thank you.
Good morning, Om Shanti. This is some Canadian color flowers. You represent Canada, so I thought this is represent the flowers for you, the rose, the white, the red, because we love you so much. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Claudia Ben. Thank you, Baba. Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. And happy start of the Arts series, 16 months. Can you believe it? Congratulations to this team. They are tireless and ever inventing new ways to bring us together online in meaningful conversation, meaningful exploration, and today reflection. So thank you to the team for the invitation. It seems fitting that we explore art, especially, when we see a degree of ugliness in our world around us. The idea of art and beauty and creativity is just it's really needed, I think, at this time. So I'm honored to join you. I'll tell you a little bit about the background to the book and the series. To get us started. So as Manoj Bhai said, Deb and I have created this book. So I'd like to tell you a bit about the arts itself first, because it was inspired by, in the BK world, we have virtues, the qualities of the soul. You've done 4 years of virtues. We've got powers, the inner powers of the soul, which we study. And then we have these things called the arts for living, arts of living, the celestial arts, the divine arts. They've got many different names, and there were 16 of them. So we had 36, 8, 16. There were so many numbers going around our heads. We thought, okay, let's just dedicate ourselves to each of these for some time. And so we wrote a book, A to Z Virtues, which is 26 virtues. So we thought, that's great. And we have this beautiful little guinea pig group. We have this group here in Halifax. Every Monday night, they're regular contacts and friends of the center, and they come and they're happy to experiment with some new experiential thing. They're happy. So we use them as our little test case. So we did the 26 virtues with them, and then we did the 8 powers with them and wrote the book, the 8 powers book. But this was our second experiment. And as always, it's trying to take, spiritual concepts and make them very practical in our lives so that they're not just lovely words, and inspirations, but that we get practical. So it was really for our sake, for our study purposes, that we wrote these books, was to experiment for ourselves with a much deeper understanding. And so I'm just delighted that the arts, that you've chosen to do the arts next, because I think they're rich and they're full. And I want to show you a couple of lovely quotes we have from our seniors, actually, who really supported the development of this work. One of them, and this is Brij Mohan, our lovely brother Brij Mohan, said this. He said, although we as humans have excelled in numerous forms of art, we are still seeking to learn the art of living. And so arts for life, arts for living, art, living as art, is really our primary focus right now. We want our lives to become so beautiful that they're like mobile, movable art. My daughter's into fashion, and she puts on these interesting combinations of things. I don't live with her now, but when she was younger, and she would say, "Mom, it's living art." So she was wearing these outfits as art, and they were actually very artful. So we instead will wear our lives like art, to create lives that are like art. Another quote from Brij Mohan, which I really loved, he said, "Any normal action that takes on a special degree of attention, expression, finesse, and value is an art, a high standard of doing things." And so, as humans striving to be at the highest, and if we think about artists, whether it's painting or music or dance or singing or, crocheting or paper rolling, there's so many different arts these days. But if you think about mastering anything, it requires thousands and thousands of hours of practice. And in a way, what this series is intending to do, and what our study of the 16 arts is doing, it's like stepping into the artist's studio. Because, we just see the finale, we see the production when it's finished, and we look at the art and go, it's beautiful, or the dance performance and say, it's beautiful. But what did it take to make that beautiful? And now we're going to break it down into, there's these 16 different arts, actually, that if we master them, the art of being human, the art of being the best human we can be, is possible for us. So, like, we're going to step into the practice studio, the behind the scenes of the artists, and look at, okay, what did they have to practice 1,000,000 times in order to make that particular pirouette, or to make that beautiful brushstroke, or to make that particular harmony? We see the finished product, but we don't see what goes into it. So this series is about looking at what goes into it. What's behind the scenes? What are we practicing to get there? And so I think the intention for this series is to explore the subtle practices that make living artful. Isn't that lovely? I just think it's a wonderful thing to be doing right now. So we are going to play here in these reflective sessions. Sister Maureen did a beautiful talk last week, sort of raising our awareness about the first art. So we'll go through this flow every month. We'll have an awareness session where we begin to think about the art and begin to even bring it into our awareness as something new, maybe we hadn't thought of. And then in the second week, we'll reflect and maybe have some personal realizations about the art as they reply to us. And then in the next, well, from this week moving on, in the next 2 weeks, you're going to take it with you. into your life. You're going to practice it. And then you'll have a beautiful silence retreat at the end of the month to stamp it. It's like signed, sealed, and delivered. That particular art, I am now, if not a master, I certainly have a much higher level of practice ability with this art. So awareness, reflect and realize, and take it with you. Let's be artful in every step. And I think how the team has designed every month, it will go something like this. So how does that sound? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, in honor of Jagdish Chandra, this is what the book that we wrote. I think I have it here with me somewhere. The book we wrote looks like this beautiful image on the front. But he was studying Brahma Baba, the founder of the Brahma Kumaris, and he watched how he acted on a daily basis, how he spoke to people, how he communicated, how he was when he was alone, how he involved himself in work and then pulled himself back, how he taught, how he was a student, how he learned. And in watching Brahma Baba as a practical human example, he named the 16 kind of activities of Brahma Baba. He broke them down into 16 and said, he does these things this way, and these are very unique and very beautiful. And that's what was the basis of this book. And that's the 16 we will go through here. Now, a woman in the UK, a BK student, 25 years ago, wrote a book for the West about these 16 arts, and she changed some of the languaging. So, for instance, where Jagdish Bai wrote about the art of letter writing, she said, well, letter writing, we're not doing so much of that. And so she changed it into the art of communicating. So that's what this series will do. It will take the original 16 and translate them for public. But one of the things, the imagery and the metaphor that I think makes this so beautiful is Jagdish used the metaphor of the moon. And it's something in astrology, the 16 celestial degrees describes the moon when it's at its complete fullness. And so wonderful metaphor that the soul, who really we think of the soul as a star, but imagine the face of the moon. So that's kind of like Brahma Baba, the number one student here, kind of like the moon, let's say. And when the light from the sun shines on every part of the face of the moon, we see a full moon. So it's a lovely image for when the soul is fully lit. When the soul has the light of the divine shining on every aspect, then it's like I become like a full moon. Fullness is the metaphor then, being complete. I've mastered every part of myself, all of these arts, in such a way that there is only light shining for me. Nothing's hiding in the dark anymore. So I'm hoping you have pen and paper with you for today because we're going to do a little reflection on the arts first, and then we'll move into the first art, which is the art of stillness. So pen and paper.
Shanti, if I can just interrupt, just request from translators that they are finding you a bit fast. Thank you.
I saw
Thank
your
you.
message, Anuben. Saw your message.
Thank you
Slowing
so much.
down. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, translators. Sorry. So pen and paper if you have. And I'm going to just ask you a couple of questions to get us reflecting on the arts themselves. So I'd like you on your paper, if you could, to just draw a star at the center of your page, a little star, and that'll reflect the soul. Of course, when all the when all the rays of light from the star are shining brightly, from a distance, we just see a dot. We see a bright circle in the sky. But I'm going to ask you to draw a star at the center of your page and just to write down so that we connect to this full moon image. Just write down at the center of that star the qualities that you feel inside yourself when you are at your fullest. You're at your inner fullest. You're at your spiritually fullest. You're at your best. You're feeling, I'm not going to give you too many words because they're your words. You put your words in the middle, the qualities for you when you're at your best, when you're at your highest, your finest, your most full, like that full moon. So just take a minute now and write down those qualities. So I don't know how many you have. I had 10 immediately, and I probably could go on, but let's say some of the first words that come to mind will be relevant for you. So, all right. So now I'll invite you to draw a circle around your star. And that circle, like that, just draw a circle around your star. And then I'll invite you, so we could imagine that this is, I'm going to call it the circle of protection, but also we can imagine it like the full moon. So I'll invite you to consider for a moment what pulls you away from this experience? What pulls you outside of that circle of protection? Just to do a little arrow. And then maybe the top three things. What are the typical things that would pull you away from that experience of yourself being so full, pull you outside the circle? It's good to know these. You probably already know some of these. Just taking a moment to consolidate what you know and making it visible to yourself is sometimes helpful. And this will be very helpful for the stillness, the first art, because of course, the minute you're away from your center and your best, you won't be still inside. You'll be agitated in some way. So, and the second and last question is, what helps you return? What brings you back to a state of fullness? What brings you back inside the circle? So just take a moment and consider that. I'm not sure if we're able to share in the chat box. I don't think so because we're live streaming, so I can't see any of your responses. I think Yeah, as I started writing, I realized that many of them are going to be the arts you encounter in this series, actually, the things that bring me back. And actually, one of them for me was stillness. One of them was a deep breath, kind of shake it off, come back into stillness. So this is the spiritual practice that we're on here, is remaining as much as possible inside this, inner core of the being, which is full and precious and whole. And like all the words you've written there, sweet, vibrant, powerful, strong, peaceful, all those things. And noticing when we drift and then bringing ourselves back and noticing when we drift and coming back. So, if there are, that was just to get us warmed up to the art. So, this is what we'll be doing here, coming back inside that beautiful circle and shining brightly. Yes, all of the virtues will be used in these arts, you will notice. But the practice, the very specific practice, we'll consider an art because we'll practice it again and again and again. So, let's move on to the first art, which is this art of being still. It's kind of the beginning place for everything else. And we seek places in the world around us that are still. It's what we love about nature. That's what I love about the early morning hours, is that the world is quite quiet. But of course, this is about being still inside. And Sister Maureen spoke about all of the things that get in our way of being still inside. And she also spoke of how important it was to be still inside. We catch signals when we're still. We can see what's going on more clearly when we're still. And of course, we consolidate, we concentrate the inner power of the soul when we're still. So I'd like to begin. I know I did this once before with, I think, one of the powers or something. I was here with you at one other time. And I remember doing this activity, this little tiny experience, which was so powerful for all of us. And I'd like to do that again. So I'd like us just to try to be still through the duration of this next 35 minutes we have together. So let's begin by just drawing ourselves inward. And I'm going to invite you to follow the sound of this chime, this Tibetan bowl, which is so beautiful. Actually, I'm not sure I shared the sound when I shared screen. Let me just verify I did not. Ha, good. So let's make sure you get the sound. So I'm going to play this. You'll hear it start. It will last for 30, 40 seconds, not very long, but I'll invite you to listen to the sound. It's an auditory method to come into silence. We could do a visual method, but we'll do an auditory method because it's about stillness and silence. And so I'll invite you just to listen to this and close your eyes so that you can follow the sound of the bowl until it disappears completely. And when the sound is completely gone, I'll ask you just to be still inside. So here we go. So I hope that you could feel your mind getting still. We could jump up and down and move our bodies and then get still physically. But this art is about our mind becoming still, becoming settled, becoming calm. So we begin like that. And I'll invite you to see if you can hold this stillness inside for the next 32 minutes, even though we'll be chatting and exploring a little bit more. So just taking this experience of a still mind, I'll invite you to just reflect on your week. And on this little continuum you will see drawn in the middle of the screen to consider yourself and how you moved through this past week of yours. Honestly, I can barely remember the week when we get to Saturday, but I'll invite you just to see if you can reflect back, maybe highlights, key moments in your week. And on this continuum, just to sort of place a little notch in your own mind, was your week, were you during your week more towards the fast moving, busy end of this continuum? Or were you more towards the still? And maybe not bodily still, but feeling yourself internally stable and still. So take a moment and just consider for yourself, where were you in this past week? If you could characterize your week, was it more on this side, more on that side, and how much? So interestingly, I was going to say that it was quite a busy, fast moving week for me. But now that I'm reflecting, although I was almost always, I call it purposefully occupied, not busy, purposefully occupied during the week, I felt like I moved from one activity to the next in a 70% state of stillness inside. So it's nice even to contrast what the body's doing versus what the mind is doing. So it wasn't a frenetic week. I didn't feel like that this week, even though it was nonstop kind of activity, movement. So that's an interesting reflection for all of us. So now I'll ask you to, reflecting back on your week, when were the moments of stillness for you this week? And I put up some pictures there as a catalyst. It might have been when you were eating or when you were preparing food in a quiet manner, or it could have been connecting to nature in some way, thus the imagery of the lake, or it could have been, quietly sitting for tea and a little read. I put the flower there because we always have a flower in the meditation room, sitting quietly to meditate. Just take a moment and reflect for yourself, when were the moments of stillness this week? I'm not sure if you're able to write in the chat box, but if you are, you could certainly um, put down, when were the moments for you? so that others can see. Because, even looking back, it's very possible that what we notice is, I am having moments of stillness. In fact, we all need them. I don't think we'd be here if we weren't getting them in some way. So, yeah, during the early morning meditation, definitely that's when I get it. I also get it with a cup of tea. Tea time at 4 o'clock seems to be a time. But feel free to put it in if you would like into the chat box. I'm not sure how many have access, but I see Anu says it's possible. All right, we'll stick to the program for now. So I won't respond to the other messages just now. Okay, so when were the moments of silence? Good for you just to know for yourself, because we want to grow those. But let's start with what you've got going for yourself, and knowing where the pattern is. Yeah, sitting quietly with a cuppa. It always does it for me. Yes. Driving. Isn't that nice? Thank you for writing that in. Watching the sunrise. That's lovely. Another one. So these are nature moments. These are alone time moments. These are meditation moments. So swimming and walking. Oh, thank you. Yes, I actually get most still when I'm walking. That's true. Thank you for that. And I didn't put up an image like that. Yeah, walking. When my body is moving, I am often still in my mind. Very nice. Sitting by the river. Beautiful. And doing Raj Yoga meditation. Yeah. So you know already the moments when you are experiencing stillness. So let's grow them. Let's have more of them. We have our special activities that we associate stillness. And when you think about your relationship with those activities, the walking, the sitting with a cup of tea, and you begin to recognize that actually what that moment is doing for you is giving you a chance to practice the art of stillness. Oh, Sophie says when preparing a workshop. That's lovely, Sophie. I find that too. When I sit before a workshop and I actually just sit quietly, that's when it all comes together. And it is a moment of stillness. Lovely. Thank you for that. And Sylvie says listening to music. Yeah, beautiful. So even though there's sound, it's not silent, but the mind gets still because it's concentrated on the vibration of the song and maybe the lyrics and the experience of the song is fantastic. Thank you. So let's see, I've got one more in the chat box there. Yeah, so, evening walk along the Ganges. How wonderful. Being in higher consciousness. So we've got India here with us today as well. So nice. So nice we're all together like this in the snow and watching the pouring rain on the train. Great. Great. Okay. Yes, partly, you know what? Somebody who's there listening. Reason I did the audio is I knew it would be possible for anyone, wherever, even on phone, just to hear that chime. All right, so I'm going to ask you now. No, actually, I've got a couple of ideas to offer you before we move on. And I see someone else has put in. Just for experience with the sounds are not available in the translation space. The sound was just a Tibetan bowl. Sorry, Micheline, you were not able to hear that. Yeah, anyways. So when there's no waste thoughts in the mind, very nice. So there's a gentleman who's been a travel writer for many years. He's not a student of the BKs. I think more Japanese Buddhist would be his study, but he's Indian bodied. His name's Pico Iyer. And I followed him for a long time as he wrote about different parts of the world. And then he started writing about stillness. He wrote a whole book on the art of stillness. And I love this quote. He said, at some point, all the horizontal trips in the world, meaning going out in the world to get places, they stop compensating for the need to go deep into somewhere challenging and unexpected. Movement makes the most sense when it's grounded in stillness. So, isn't that lovely? he said, and this is why he thinks stillness is actually activism at this time in the world. He said, in an age of speed, I began to think that nothing could be more invigorating than slowing down. In an age of distraction, nothing can feel more luxurious than paying attention. And in an age of constant movement, nothing is more urgent. Isn't that great? Urgent than sitting still. So, introducing the opposite, instead of being carried by the speed of the world, I make an active choice to slow down. Wow. Real power in that. In an age of constant distraction, I experience the luxury of paying attention to something meaningful to me. And I enjoy it like a luxury. And in an age of constant movement, nothing's more urgent than sitting still. Lovely. So I thought I'd introduce that to you. And here's a picture of just a few of the gadgets that most of us work with, because Maureen was talking about gadgets, and I really related to what she was saying about how difficult it is at this point actually for us to face the amount of stimulation we need in the day, because these gadgets are constantly stimulating us, and it's almost painful to stop because we're getting the little brain drug coming, and it hurts to stop. We actually need, so the craving is there, the addiction is there. So we don't have the power to extract our awareness from the stimulation. And so we need to give an all powerful alternative to our mind. And that's what stillness does. I gather up all my energy and I focus it. And simply by doing that, every drop of power concentrated when I become still inside helps me, the soul, reclaim the mastery of my own mind, my own self. So then I can choose to be still whenever I want, and I can stop running. So many of us are running away from, or running to, or a combination, or just not happy in the present moment. So facing this constant need for stimulation. So I have 4 reflection questions for you, and then a little movement experience. So I'll invite you with pens and papers again. And what I'm going to invite you to do in this situation is, Maureen talked about last week, which I have found very, very true, is that you miss signals if you're not still inside. And so one way to catch signals inside myself is to stop and listen to myself, which is what we do in meditation. We listen to the divine. You get some kind of touching, a feeling, a thought, something. But we're also listening to the inner wisdom of the soul. And so I've got 4 questions for you, and we used to call it reflective inquiry. I used to be a facilitator with the self-managing leadership program, and any of you who know that, we used to have people, we'd ask them a question, but we would request that instead of writing your answer, you actually sat completely still, and you sat in silence, and you closed your eyes, and you allowed, on the screen of your mind, you allowed the answer to appear. And then you wrote that down. So very different than thinking, analyzing, logical examination of the question I'm about to ask you. Very different is to be still enough to hear your own answer. So these 4 questions are done as a practice of the art of stillness, so you can listen to yourself and catch your own stillness signals inside. So everybody ready? We have 4 questions. Here we go. So the first question, and you're going to have to close your eyes for this so that you just hear the question. First question. Remember a time when you experienced stillness. Maureen told a story last week of being still in a meeting and it having an effect. Remember a time when you experienced being still inside and it having a positive effect on your surroundings. So with your eyes closed, you're being still inside. Remember a moment when you experienced stillness and it had a positive effect. Could be on you, could be on the surroundings. And as soon as the answer comes, write it down and describe what were the elements. Describe the memory of that experience. Just take 30 seconds for that. Okay, the second question. And again, this one, close your eyes, hear it, let the question sit in your mind, but don't think about it. Just be still. Just be still in your own mind. Let the question sit, and then let the answer just appear, and then write it down. Okay, here's the question. When does your thought energy speed up? And when does your thought energy slow down? When does your thought energy speed up? So, in what circumstances? And when does your thought energy slow down? Hold the question until the answer comes, then write. Okay. Maybe another couple seconds for that one. Okay. Next question. So, two more. Second last question. Again, just silent, just still in your own mind. Close your eyes, and here's the question. Let it just sit till the answer appears. So, what or who controls the speed of your thoughts? What or who controls the speed of your thoughts? And write it down when the answer appears. Okay, and now the final question. What helps you be still? Again, no right or wrong answers. Just allow the question to sit in your mind and see the wisdom that emerges in you. What helps you be still? Okay. So partly what's interesting is your answers. But more interesting is what was the experience of just being still so you could catch your own inner signals. Was anything special revealed to you? Did anything kind of surprising come out? This is what happens when we're still. And you can share in the chat box if you'd like, but mostly to reflect for yourself. How does it change things when I'm still inside and I listen to my own wisdom? How does it change the answer? Do the answers feel different somehow? And I know that one of the beauties of the art of stillness is that we actually begin to experience a quiet confidence when we're in stillness. We're no longer racing around looking for other people to answer our questions or give us guidance or advice. Yes, of course, we'll consult and advise and include, but we develop a very sweet, kind of quiet confidence inside. Yeah. So others are saying some things in the chat box. The quieter I am, the more I can hear. Isn't it wonderful? So this is the beauty of the art of stillness. It's why we practice this art, so that I can become a little bit more confident inside. Beautiful story being shared. Yeah, lovely. So that I develop this confidence. All right. I think honestly for myself, what I have seen. So these 4 questions were to explore the awareness. Um, Stillness is an art. It requires practice, which means I have to be willing to sit with my own mind. Any life question that comes, this is why people journal often. Any life question, any confusion in my heart, in my emotions, in my mind, requires the practice of just sitting still and then rising above the movement and turbulence in my mind, and the conquering the restless compulsion to act. I used to run, as sport, as exercise, and when I came to meditate, the body was getting older, but when I came to meditate, I noticed how much it was a compulsion to run. I was running away from something, and as I started to meditate, I realized I didn't have the same compulsion. Now I walk. I walk every day. I walk at a good pace for cardio, but I'm not doing it out of compulsion. I'm doing it because actually I enjoy a stillness of mind and it's good for the body. But what changed was the restless compulsion. So I have to be willing to do that. So I have another little exercise. This one is going to take us to move. So this is going to be a little bit funny. I hope you'll be willing to move, but we're going to move with inner stillness. So I'll invite you to stand up. And this is going to be so simple. Wherever you are, I'm going to ask you simply to walk 10 paces away from your chair. That's it. Somewhere you still have to be able to hear me because I'm going to bring you back. Okay. So 10 paces. And however you want, just walk 10 paces from where you are right now. Here we go. 10 paces. Ten paces. I'm going to pull my microphone over here. I'm going to be far away, but so you can hear me. Okay. Is everyone 10 paces away, but you can hear me? Okay. So you should be standing somewhere away from your chair. Fine. Wonderful. Now, I am going to put on my timer and I am going to invite you. This seems ridiculous, but boy, is this a good exercise. I am going to invite you to walk back to your seat, but for it to take exactly 2 minutes for you to get there. Okay, so it's going to take you 2 minutes to come back to your chair, meaning you will be walking much more slowly. Or you might be doing a big tour of your house. I don't know what you will do, but 2 minutes. Actually, I'll invite you to walk the same pathway back to your chair. So don't distract yourself with activity and go to the kitchen and just walk the same 10 paces back to your chair. But you're at 1 minute and 30 seconds now since I started timing. Watch what happens in your mind, okay? So 10 paces, you're at 1 minute and 20 seconds. So you should not be back in your chair yet. You walk the same 10 paces very slowly. 1 minute left. Stay with it. You've got 30 seconds left to get back to your chair. Oh, look we can hardly stand it, can we? I have to sit down. That's wonderful. I know we're reaching the end. So everybody's rushing back to the chair. Okay, 10 seconds left. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Oh, I think that might have been painful. Was that painful? It was painful, wasn't it? A wonderful exercise to slow yourself down and just watch what goes on in your mind. You can walk the same distance in life more slowly. And Maureen talked last week about patience, how important patience was in the art of being of stillness. So I'll conclude because I'm sure you've got some announcements, Manoj Bhai. And the reason we want to be still is because nothing in all creation is so like God as stillness is. So awareness, given your experience today, something you will take away about stillness. And maybe any place or moment in your life where you might be able to increase this practice of being still inside. Realization, just what would it feel like to master this art? And I'll invite you to think of one practice this week you can do to expand the amount of practice you get, the amount of time you get to spend in stillness for you. And take it with you. So I think that's it for me.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sister Judy. Is there any question we can take? I doubt we don't have much time left. Maybe we can consider to have a little more time for these sessions, but What a wonderful experience. I think I'm going to invite Dr. Mehta, who is with us. Wonderful he could join today to bring his thoughts and give a vote of thanks. And then quickly we'll move to announcements. And still at the end, you can take us through the meditation on it, on being still. Yeah. So Dr. Mehta, to you.
Om Shanti. Judy Ben, this was a real experience. Amazing experience with still. A class which is class by itself. Thank you very much for taking us to the core of the stillness. Simple steps, walking 10 steps back slowly. I think we can slow down our life, and that would be the ideal. I think this is what we have been practicing and learning in the Raj Yoga. I think what you have brought out is in real life how you can make yourself still and practice, be quiet and peaceful. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mehta. And thank you, Sister Judy. You also brought up the whole pattern, how it will play out. So today, it was really deep inner reflections. I'm sure everybody took it on and will give time to reflect more on that, what we learned. And I'll just quickly announce the upcoming, as Sister Judy said, that what you'll take home. Of course, we are taking quite a bit today. We'll reflect more on that and further we'll reflect among ourselves on the workshop after 1 week on the same art of being still, with interactive discussions among us. More we can share with each other and revise what we heard today, what we experienced we got today, as well as the last time. So please join us Saturday on 29th of March, same time. And it's different Zoom ID. So please look for receiving this, or you can take a snapshot on the screenshot. And then we will also do the silence retreat. So that is totally with ourselves. We can reflect, experience deeply what is that we took for this beautiful, beautiful art. So it would be on after 2 weeks, 5th of April. It will be same time, but 1.5 hours. So we hope you will take your time and really, really come for this invaluable experience and deep understanding. And there could be some reflections coming from the Brahma Kumari's teaching. So just to let you all know, but everyone is welcome to join. And please write to us if you have any questions on valuesforlifeseries@gmail.com and Vancouver at ca.brahmakumaris.org. More information on our websites. And soon we will share with you the playlist link. So that would collect all the videos of all the talks. And you will also find it there. And before we go to the meditation experience, I think we all want to take a photograph, not miss it. The beautiful, beautiful experience of the art of being still. Are you feeling that deep stillness? Everybody, please open your video and give me 1 more second so that I can take for everyone. Hold on. This is a bit tricky. Everyone open there. Okay, here you go. And maybe more. Just a second. Beautiful faces. Yes, I got them all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sister Judy. Can't thank you enough. And we are ready for the further experience of being still. Thank you so much. I think we can't hear you. You are unmuted, but we can't hear you, right? Is it just me? Brother Manoj? Sister Claudia?
No, we can't hear. I think she's doing something.
I'm not doing
Oh, yeah.
What
Now,
happened?
We can
now
now
it's
hear
back.
you.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries. Thank you
Om
so much.
Shanti. Om Shanti. So I think we only have a couple of moments. Thank you to all of you. It's lovely to be here with you today and the organizing team. Let's just take a moment and draw all the contemplations from today, because that's actually thought energy. Just draw that energy back in. It's like a spider pulling a web back in. Take every thread of thought from today in contemplation back inside to a tiny point behind your eyes. This is my energy. This is my power. I, the soul. And when I concentrate my thought energy, I become very still. And the power of this stillness makes things happen in my life. I can feel the vibrations of my own stillness spreading outwards to my own body and to the world around me. And when my mind is still like this, I can connect to the divine. Light to light. Connected, I am empowered. And with this power, I am able to be still in the eye of life's storms. So let me stay at the eye of the storm this week as I move around my life, practicing this art of inner stillness. Om Shanti.
So wonderful. Thank you so much. And I would ask all the participants, if you are not in our WhatsApp or email group, you can please send us an email with your email ID, and we'll include you for all the materials and the session photos that we'll share with you. Thank you for this wonderful
Shanti.
hour.
Thank you.
See you all next week. Thank you, Sister Judy. Thank you, everyone.